Here's what actually matters to guests staying at the Jersey Shore and what doesn't. Hot tubs don't save bad operations. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Billy Butler. I'm your local property manager, real estate investor, and real estate agent. We have over 30 properties under management through my company, Sweet Capacity, where we specialize in making short-term rentals and Airbnbs here completely passive and hands-off for the owners. Today, we're going to be talking about what amenities actually matter to guests who stay here at the Jersey Shore and what doesn't matter. Because you can have a property that has a hot tub and a pool and all kinds of fancy amenities, or it's right off of the beach, but your reviews might be going down and you might be losing revenue or leaving money on the table every single year. So how do we prevent that? Here are my 4 pro tips for this. Let's jump right into them. Number 1 is cleanliness. Of course, that kind of goes without saying, but you want to make sure that you have a property that's well maintained and clean all the time. You want to be able to go in and check on the property, inspect it, and make sure that it's guest ready for each individual booking. Because if you start to slip on your quality control and your quality assurance when it comes to the cleanliness of your property, or even just the general maintenance and upkeep of the property, that's going to negatively impact your reviews, therefore negatively impacting what revenue potential you could be earning in the future. So this is something that a lot of people overlook, but it's a very basic thing. You want to have very strict checklists and SOPs for your turnovers, for your cleaning, and also for your maintenance log on the property. You want to keep everything well documented in order to support yourself when it comes to maintaining this high quality standard of cleanliness that we've come to expect now with Airbnb properties here at the Jersey Shore. Tip number 2 that you want to implement right away is the speed of response. Guests at the Jersey Shore, or just in general, when it comes to hospitality, they really want to be responded to quickly. Even if you don't know the answer to something, or maybe you don't want to tell them something because it might be a negative or detract from their experience at your property, you want to be able to tell them whatever you're going to tell them within an hour, because the speed of response is going to actually directly impact your listings on the search algorithm for whatever platform that you're advertising your property on. Because all these platforms nowadays actually measure the response time that the host has with the guest. If your response time is within an hour or less, then your listing is going to actually be boosted in the search algorithm on that platform, because they're going to view your property as being actively managed and actively attended to. So that's going to actually make that platform look better by showing more people searching for that property or for, a rental, showing them your property. So that's just something to consider. So how do we keep our response time high? Even though, let's say it's the middle of the night, maybe midnight, 1 a.m., and a guest might send you a message or an inquiry asking about something at your property. So how do you implement a system in order to respond to them quickly? Using HostBuddy AI, it takes about 5 minutes for you to set up and connect your listing into their AI system. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to import the past 6 months of conversation data that you've had with guests from that listing into HostBuddy AI's system. And it's going to essentially create a custom chatbot that's going to respond to every single guest message within a matter of a few minutes. And it's going to be completely accurate, since the data that it's pulling is real data from your active listing. So it's going to be able to say, oh, it's got, we've got 4 beds, or we've got, 3 bathrooms, we've got 2 parking spots. It's going to know all of the data about your property. So that's a very, very helpful tool if you're not able to respond by yourself, or if you want that extra bit of help to make sure that your listing gets pushed up in the algorithm. My third pro tip here that guests really care about is the smooth check-in process. People want to basically have a really easy check-in, right? They want to show up to the property, they want to have their code, they want to have all the information that they're going to need prior to arriving. So then they show up, they punch the code into the door, and they get in, and that's that. It's as simple as that, right? So if we can keep the check-in process as smooth and simple as possible, then you're gonna have better guest experiences, right? The guests are gonna leave better reviews. you're not going to run into an issue immediately the second they show up. Because oftentimes if a guest shows up and the first thing that they have to deal with is the lock's not working, or they can't get into the property for whatever reason, then that's going to put a bad taste in their mouth right off of the bat, and you're going to run into other issues with them potentially, even small things that might come up. They'll throw, those small things at you all the time and say, hey, now this is not working, now this is wrong. So in order to prevent having basically a negative experience off the bat, you want to prioritize having a smooth and simple check-in process. So for me, what we always recommend to clients is you add a smart lock to your door. You don't want to be doing the key thing anymore, because for one, people could lose that key, but also the smart lock, you can now change the codes for each individual guest. So as soon as that guest checks out, you delete their code and you put in the code for the next guests. So I always recommend doing the last 4 digits of their phone number so it's easy for them to remember. And then every single guest, you reset the code. And then you want to have a check-in redundancy. So if you do have a smart lock, what you want to also do is put the key for that lock somewhere in a lockbox on the property that's hidden, but you can give them fast instructions to access that lockbox in the case that, for instance, your smart lock batteries die or something like that comes up, right? Or they don't have the code, they're not able to figure it out. You can say, okay, well, go to the lockbox code is 2222, whatever, right? You get them into the code, you get them into the lockbox, so then they have the backup key. So having that check-in redundancy will actually help you in the long run as well. And my fourth and final tip for this is consistency matters over luxury. Now, I know a lot of people do prefer luxury properties, and you do want to keep your property as high-end as you possibly can to stay competitive in the marketplace. However, what people are going to value more is consistency over that one-off luxury experience. People want to know that what the reviews say of the property is going to be true to their experience. And that being said, if you get a bad review or some sort of disgruntled guest, you kind of want to go out of your way to make sure that they're taken care of, make sure that they don't leave that bad review. Even if they do leave a bad review, you always want to respond. You want to respond to the good and you want to respond to the bad. If they say something negative, say, thank you so much for your feedback. We're going to take that into consideration, because people are going to see how you respond in your reviews, and they'll understand that if you're providing a consistent experience and that you're willing to take feedback and improve upon that, then you're going to be basically in the right, and you're going to be, doing much better than some of the other hosts on Airbnb or Vrbo. So consistency matters more than luxury. You want to make sure that the guest experience is as consistent as possible, that every single time people have the amenities that they see on the website before they book it. They have their, paper towels, toilet paper, soaps, whatever you're offering in the standard offering of the product that you have in the marketplace. You want to make sure that that stays consistent. Now, a pro tip for this is you want to have all sorts of checklists and SOPs in place so that your cleaners can come without you necessarily being there, and they can say, okay, well, we have to make sure that we check this box because we need to make sure there's enough toilet paper or dish soap, or we have to fold the towels in a certain way that the owner wants us to fold them, right? So all these things kind of have to do with your consistency, and that consistency actually breeds into luxury, because if you have the same offering every single time that the guest can expect, then that actually is going to be perceived as being more luxury and high end versus having no consistency at all to begin with. Well, that's it for me now. So thank you so much for watching. I really, really, really appreciate it. If you could just drop me a like or a subscribe, it really helps me out, and I appreciate it so, so much. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can reach me at 732-440-5222. Or you can go to suitecapacity.com and set up a meeting with me. I'm happy to discuss any of these things with you. If you need help with literally anything, I'm happy to provide you with that help and that feedback. If you have a rental, or if you're looking to get into short-term rentals, I'm happy to be available so you can pick my brain. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.